Hello everybody, we're at the Mix in the Fix booth. You were telling me yesterday, and really the main point I'd love to talk about is the fact that you're doing some really great charity stuff that I'd like to talk about.
Yes, thank you. So you hit a certain level of success in the industry, it's kind of, in my opinion, your responsibility to send the elevator back down. Yep. So I got to talking with a good friend of mine, Ross Copperman. He's written like 20 #1 hits, done a ton of production, and he was just talking about kind of what would happen if, when he was in high school, he had access to some of the tools that we have, because you can do so much in such a small space now. His writing room is, you know, an Apollo and a Mac and a microphone and, you know, all this stuff. So he had a visit from his old music teacher / football coach, right? Yep. From rural Virginia. And they got to talking, and the kids that the teacher brought with him were just like, man, it would be amazing to be able to do this. And he was like, if I can do it, you can do it. Yeah. So we started talking, and we said, well, why don't we just build a songwriting studio in the high school for these kids?
Fantastic.
The ACMs came online with a Lifting Lives grant, and a bunch of manufacturers gave us amazing deals or free stuff. I mean, UA was incredible. They gave us one of the brand new Apollos. SE gave us microphones, like PreSonus gave us speakers and monitoring controllers. Fantastic. Sweetwater was hugely helpful for, like, you know, the million things that you need in a little studio. So we went out to Virginia and we installed a studio, and you know, we had high school kids clamoring to come in over winter break to work in the studio. So
it's amazing.
It was incredible.
Absolutely amazing.
So that's the first. Actually spinning this charity up now. It's called songfarm.org, and we're already talking to a bunch of other songwriters about going into their high schools and building this. So I would like to do hundreds of these.
I think that'd be remarkable. I think that is amazing.
So, and so much fun.
Well, we're parents, and that's what happens. You start.
Yeah. I mean, and think about it. Like, I don't know where you started, but if I had access to a songwriting studio, like when I was 15 or 14, that would be so cool. It's so great.
It is really, really cool. I mean, I was blessed. In fact, we're probably like similar age. Can't remember how old you are, but I think we may, I don't know about you, but I think we were the last generation to guarantee to have a music class.
Yeah, that's the other problem.
Yeah.
The funding for the arts, especially in this country, is the first thing that goes. Yeah. So the easy hack is like, okay, cool, we'll just put something in for free, you know, and they can use it. And the beautiful part about all this stuff now is it's not just making songs. You can do podcasts, you can do video editing, you can do choir recordings, you can do all of this stuff. So just encouraging these kids to stay creative. I mean, not only is it a career path, but also, I mean, anybody in any business, the more creative you are, the more of a leg up you got on stuff. So it's really nice to be able to give back.
I mean, just on a basic level, I mean, think about it, like they teach Alzheimer's patients music because it stimulates the brain in such a unique way.
Totally.
So goodness what it does for our kids, you know, get right in there at that early age. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, there's all these studies that prove, like, you know, playing classical music to your child when they're super young, you know, is known to sort of like increase intelligence. I mean,
it's amazing how creative they are. It's amazing how fast they are. iZOPTOPE gave us one of those Spire things. Oh yeah. And the kids had it out of the box, plugged in, and 10 minutes later they were making a song on it, like layering vocals and you know, working on their iPhone, and it's just like, they're so fast, man. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Oh, I know. My son just turned 12, and I whenever he wants to turn his energy towards, he's already going to be better than me in any of those things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Greg Wells' kid is scary. Like, that guy's going to take over everything. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I can believe it.
So,
well, that's fantastic. Thanks for telling us about that. We're going to keep talking, but there will be links, because David, who's filming, will be editing this, so it's songfarm.org. Please get involved at any level you can. I'm not sure, is there ways that people can help out?
You know, at this point now, just spreading the word. We're working with professional songwriters, but if you know somebody, you know,
I do.
We've talked to a bunch of people, and they all seem really enthusiastic about it. So
yeah, I'm definitely helping that. If you want any free courses of any of the ProMix stuff, with, like,
that would be amazing.
With Ulrich and Cameron, I'm sure all of those guys would happily lend their name.
That would be incredible.
We'll give you all our free courses for free.
Sweet.
Thank you. Good job.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, look at how American I can be. All right, Dave.
Yes.
What is the most frequently asked question? you get asked? Like, you know, from whether it be support, whatever it is, what is the number one question? That giving you a forum here to answer that.
How do I plug my guitar into this interface?
I said that yesterday. That's what I get most as well.
Because people don't know, especially guitar players, you know, it's not necessarily their world. If you're a keyboard player, maybe you kind of know this world, you know, because you're sort of more of a tech. Guitar players, a lot of them, I mean, there's millions of guitar players in the country, and they want to record, and sometimes they also want to record vocals, but they want to get a great, people spend thousands of dollars on their guitar. And sometimes they just end up with a little interface because
they change out the pickups and they customize them.
So that's why we made the Axe.io, because it's kind of like if you have a nice high-end guitar, a Les Paul or you know, a Strat or whatever you have, and you invest, why would you want to run it into an interface that just has a basic high Z input? And or you don't even know if that's the right input. Is it line? Is it you know, instrument level? So this is designed with the guitar player in mind. So you just plug in here and you have this Z tone, which allows you to adjust the impedance. Now it does two things. One, every guitar and all the different pedals and everything have different impedances. So you can impedance match and adjust to what it should be. But you can also juice up. You can take an active pickup and juice it up and make it sound like, passive and make it sound like active or things like that. And of course, going through either our own software Amplitude or out the amp into your own and as effects loop and everything, you can literally like just change the tone at the source. And so that's a huge thing, and then you've got a few other options, a built-in tuner. So as far as how to plug in your guitar, I think we've solved that in one box.
And then the thing we were talking about yesterday, which I love, and I know it sounds really obvious, but actually having the tuner on the front is pretty huge. I'm spending my life with my different apps and my whatever and trying, or like I'm saying to Eric, can you patch in the tuner which is racked up? You know, here it's just on all the time.
That's because really one of the most valuable commodities in the studio is time.
Exactly.
You know, because creative flow, all those things are important, and maybe, you know, if you're paying studio time, but even if you're not, even if you just, I got an idea, wait a minute, I want to track it, I don't have time to tune, okay, tune it real quick, it's right here.
It's right in front of you.
Just those, like,
those
5 minutes can be such a hassle.
I agree.
Looking for your tuner.
Great. It's funny because that is the number one thing. We were talking about it yesterday. I get that all the time.
Me too.
We do different I/O videos. People ask because they're like, when it says high Z, does that mean guitar? It says line input. Does that mean guitar?
This just means guitar. And then of course you can record, it has phantom power, you can record mics, you can record line level keys and everything else. But, you know, so many people want to be able to record guitar. This makes it easy.
I do think, you know, I was saying to you yesterday, off camera, but I'll say it now, I think you've got the right balance between orientating it towards a guitar player on a creative level, but it's still a serious I/O. And that's a really good balance.
Yeah, I mean, people want, you know, everyone wants to have high quality, and I have a rack of analog Class A mic pre's, vintage, you know, Neves and whatnot, and it can get a little bit pricey, and it's not so portable, I have to say. But, and actually even for me, when I can't take my rack of Neves with me, I'm like, you know what? Nice and convenient, Class A mic pre's with phantom power built in, so I can record my vocals. And you know, I have a Neumann mic that I just plug in. But to be able to have all these tools, I have personally, I have like boxes that do similar kind of thing with impedance. I have a reamp box. I have all these little gadgets, and I'm like, okay, that's cool to have my studio. But if I wanted to just have it conveniently in one, this is my new baby right here, and definitely for traveling. But even in the studio, it's kind of like, do I want to go see if the box has the battery in it, or do I want to just plug it in and do my thing and be creative?
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Hillary, we've been doing this frequently asked questions. So what is the answer, first of all, to the most frequently asked question that you get?
So the answer is yes, because the frequently asked question we get is, a lot of people come into the booth and they say, which of your mics are good for vocals?
Right.
And the answer is yes. So at Blue and with microphones, people maybe aren't as familiar, but specifically with Blue is our capsules. We have some versatile capsules like Ember and Spark, which are more flat, no coloring, very representative of what you're recording. And then we have Bluebird or Baby Bottle or some of our interchangeable caps that add a little tuning. So maybe more of that vintage sound, maybe a little more warmer, maybe a little more contemporary pop. more of a ribbon sound. And so what we're trying to do is capture the sound you want right at the source. So you're not trying to add a bunch in post-production. So when people come in and they say, which are good for vocals, my question is, what sound are you trying to capture? Sure. And then let's find that versus this one's vocal, this one's guitar. So it's a great way to talk to people about what the brand is, but that's our frequently asked question.
Thank you. So Trevor,
yes.
What is the frequently asked question? What is the one question you get asked the most? And what is the answer to that question? More importantly.
I can help there. I mean, the thing that makes my hair go a little grayer each time is, and as you can see, it's going grayer and receding.
Mine's completely dyed, so I'm not gonna.
Basically, is people come up and they will, and understandably so, they will ask me, for example, the Aria tube microphone, what does it sound like? Meaning, what is it cloned to? Yes. Is it a, dare I say, a C12 or a Elam 251 or a U47? And since I began Sontronics, the very first day, the maxim of the company is that we will create our own signature sound. So we're not emulating, we're not mimicking, and I have to say, you know, it's a much harder road to take, and I respect anyone out there that is trying to forge their own way with a brand or an idea or a concept that's their own. You know, we think about record production. You could sit there all day long copying another style of music or another producer's style, but you know, I'm sure you'll agree, you have your own style. You try to find a way to create a tone or a sound or an energy that's yours. Now, when it comes to our microphones, that's exactly what we've done with every single one. It's trying to create an identity which is Sontronics sound. So it can be a little confusing when somebody wants an instant satisfaction answer. Yeah, this is a U87 or this is a 251. No, I'm sorry, you won't get that answer from me. I'd like you to put a set of headphones on, come and talk into a mic, and make your own decision.
No, I love that. I love that, and you're one of only a couple of people that thinks that way, and I applaud it, because for me, quite frankly, I have a U47 and a U48, which is essentially an identical microphone, except they have, the one has the ability, the 48, to have a figure 8. And they're about the same age. There couldn't be two more different microphones. Indeed. So when somebody says to me, in fact, the story I often tell is I was in the record plant in Sausalito, and we had 5 of them up together.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And they were the most different sounding microphones. So to me, thinking that way makes no sense.
I think the thing is, and this is my experience, over the last 14, 15 years, we've made some astonishing friendships, partnerships, and one of which is at Abbey Road Studios, and Lester Smith, the sort of chief technician and the microphone guru master, has become a dear friend of ours, and it's through the fact that he was very open-minded, and they invited us into the studio. They'd heard about our microphones, and what they found was that we had something that they were looking for, that, dare I say it, that the vintage microphones were maybe a little temperamental, sure, and maybe not so reliable. Those absolute dream mics. Everyone wants to own those M50s, M49s, the U47s, the 251s. But I will say, in my experience, that they're not always what you dream they might be.
Well, what is it? It's the PVC, isn't it? The capsule.
The M7 capsule. You can't get it anymore. Yeah. And even the people that were actually reskinning them in exchange, so you'd send back your old one and you'd get another one reskinned. Even they're giving up now because it's not simple to do anymore. The materials don't exist. So what we're trying to do is create products, a modern product, which gives all of the qualities, machining, engineering, electronics, all of those qualities in that mic, but it's just not vintage. Yeah. And that's it.
It's repeatable and a fraction of the cost.
And there you go. One hopes.
Fantastic.
Hey, thank you so much again.
Okay, Robin at Leapwing.
Yes.
What's the number one question you get asked about any of these products? The most frequently asked question. What's the answer to that question?
Right. I think it's kind of a combination between center one and stage one, because it's kind of changing, let's say, the panorama or the stereo.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I guess, confuse it, which is normal, between MS. So they always ask us well, it's just simple MS, it's not difficult to do. But in fact, what we do is completely different from MS. We don't use any mid-side trick, your sum.
Are you taking different selections of frequencies in the high end and panning them in different directions?
Yeah, we're actually looking at the frequency spectrum and where things are placed. So we're actually, let's say, splitting things up in very small pieces and looking at where are they in the stereo space, and then with stage 1 we actually just change the position. But it's a frequency-based effect, so it's fundamentally quite different from MS, and I think a lot of people typically get confused with that.
Well, I like that idea more than I like MS. I'm not a big MS fan. It always makes me feel a little giddy. I'm very phase sensitive, so I'm not a big fan of it anyway. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
What is the most frequently asked question you get? Something that you find yourself answering a lot these days?
Thought about it, and I'm sure I'm going to think of a better one once I leave the show, but this one just came to mind. And Radial, our range of flagship DIs is what we call the J series. So the JDI, the J48, the JPC,
I have one.
JDV,
Yes.
on and on and on. And that is our number one. So sometimes we also have a series called Pro Series, which is a step down from the J series. Sometimes people think the Pro series is the better one because Pro.
Right.
But the J series is really the top end of the Radial DIs. But J does not mean Jensen. And that's one thing that people always assume, and sometimes even our dealers and distributors and some of our best customers think, oh, I've got a J48, it's a Jensen.
Does it have a transformer in it?
J48 does not, it's an active DI. So it does not have a Jensen. We use Jensens in a lot of our products. Jensen is one of our companies. Yeah. But the JDI has a Jensen, the J48 is active, so it does not. So just not all of the J series. J did not mean Jensen.
That's a good answer.
We're not quite sure what it meant originally, but
you have to go back.
We have our suspicions.
Did Jim put his own name on it?
It might have been, maybe
it was Jim.
Before working for the company, he just
he willed it. You will go,
of course, my name's Jay, so I could just
maybe it was Jay.
Yeah, it's the JDI.
It's the JDI. All right, thanks for answering that. Thank you.
No problem.
We're with Austen from Pastel Sonic. How are you?
Good. How are you, Warren?
I'm good. We became friends through the wonderful world of the gram.
The wonderful world of the gram. Yeah. Those DMs. All about those DMs.
All about the DM.
Yeah.
But wait, you have to actually follow each other to know it happens. So follow him, Pastel Sonic on Instagram. Okay. Really funny stuff and really informative.
Yeah, I do my best.
Now, what is the one piece of equipment? It could be anything. It could be a guitar. It could be a computer. It could be whatever. What is the one piece of equipment you couldn't live without?
You know, I've got it right here. My swell. Hydration is key. Seriously, you're a vocalist, you're in the studio for a long time, anything, you get dehydrated. You're like sitting in front of a hot board, get dehydrated. Got to stay hydrated. So
that's good.
Put in a little plug for Swell because I love them.
Marvelous.
But honestly, anything like a hydro flask works too. Yeah,
you said there was one other thing off camera that you couldn't live without.
Oh yeah, Dunlop .50mm guitar picks. If you were making me be specific about music, because I mean, I like it thin. I like to be able to really get in there, like get those notes in. So
Great.
That. Yeah.
Fantastic. What have you loved about the show? Anything jumping out to you?
Oh man, I mean, this is my first time at Winter NAMM, so just sort of being here and seeing everything has been really great, really exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah, seeing all sorts of stuff. I saw the Unfair Child, which I actually discovered through your video, your interview with Eric Ballantyne.
Eric is amazing.
Very excited, trying to get that into the studio that I work with.
Yep.
Seeing some cool stuff from IK Multimedia. Yep. Their Axe.io that you demoed yesterday.
That was a lot of fun. Love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are two things that jump out immediately.
Great.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Warren, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Please, ask me a question.
So, when you're in the studio writing with an artist, obviously it's possible to spend so much time, writing, demoing, not really even getting to the final product. Do you have a process for efficiently getting from the writing stage to the demo stage and then going on to recording that you use?
I basically record as I go.
And record as you go?
Yeah, if I'm sitting there, like David and I, if he's got a song, just holding the camera, if he's got a song and we change the tempo slightly, or we find the tempo, maybe we change the arrangement a little bit, move the chorus over here, make it longer, shorter, double it, whatever it is. If we're in that zone, and he's been singing it, and he's playing acoustic, and it's feeling good, I just send him in. We have the tempo, we just record it. And we find invariably that initial acoustic guitar and vocal, 90% of the time becomes the final product. There's something about it because when you're doing, this is a big deal actually, I'm glad you asked me this. When you're doing it on your own and then building the track afterwards, that might be the only time you get a feel and a groove that you can preserve. Because if you build a track independently, then sing on top, you may lose that intimate sort of like piano vocal, acoustic guitar vocal.
And certainly you run into that a lot with if you're working with rappers who just come in with a 2-track instrumental or singers. So yeah, I mean, me personally, I love just starting out with a keyboard or an acoustic guitar and just building it from there.
Yeah,
I think that's your method.
That's my method, and also, to be honest, I like really, really passionate, intimate sounding, vocals. If there's something sad, I want the vulnerability. If there's something aggressive, I want that. And it's hard to reproduce that a week later after you are not working on the song.
You love that first take magic, huh?
I love the first take, but I also love like if you're writing or you're doing pre-production, you're in the song.
Yeah.
And then you come back to the most famous story, of course, is Someone Like You, which my old engineer Phil recorded at my studio. And what happened was Adele brought in an idea, her and Dan Wilson finished it up.
Yeah.
It was a story, and well-known story about her boyfriend.
Yeah.
She broke up within about 3 months or something. He got engaged to somebody else. And instead of her being really angry, she still was in love with this guy or had feelings, whatever. And so to her, I wanted to find someone else like that.
Yeah.
So she goes in, they finish writing it, and she sings it. Then, a year later, or 6 months later, whatever, it was a long time afterwards, Rick Rubin had produced the full track. And no disrespect to Rick Rubin, but it's hard to come back. Maybe it's 9 months later, and you're over that person. You don't care about them anymore. And you've got to sing about a past relationship. You're like, I don't care. So it's tough. I think the very least you should do is make sure that you have a decent-ish enough microphone ready to go at all times. And if you don't, you don't. As Ulrich Wilde says, the best microphone for any given situation is the one that's right there. So,
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Warren, and thanks so much for having me on for FAQ Friday.
Wonderful. Thank you for asking me a question. I love it.
Of course.
You're
It's been great.
Thanks. So, Chris, we've been doing this with everybody we're talking to. We've been asking, because we do a frequently asked questions, and that's usually, for me, I get asked a lot of the similar questions in recording and mixing and stuff. Now, for you, what are you getting hit with? Is there a particular question you're getting asked? And of course, what is the answer to that frequently asked question?
That's a good question in itself. Yes, we get asked a lot of questions. We have great customer service that are happy to answer anybody's questions. But probably the most frequent question I get asked is, can you power both these systems from the L1?
Right.
So this you actually can. The T4, because it's actually designed after its predecessor, the T1, is powered by the L1.
By the whole piece.
However, because this is a larger mixer, this one cannot be powered by the T8. It'll turn on, and people think they can use it that way.
It's broken!
Yes, exactly. But people get the impression that it's broken when the specifications are not currently for that. We're working on that, moving forward. But right now, with the launch last year, this one isn't really compatible power-wise. You can always connect it with your analog outputs, but not power and data like the T4.
Marvelous.
So I think that's a valuable piece of information for our customers.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, my friend, what is the most frequently asked question? And of course, what is your answer to that frequently asked question that you get?
Well, Warren, this year at the NAMM 2019 show, our McDSP debuted the world's first programmable analog processor. The number one question is, what? It's analog? And we say the answer, yes, analog. Programmable analog. Whoa. Like that.
So what benefit? Okay, what are the benefits? What is analog about it that is beneficial?
Okay, the analog components themselves are premium stuff. The top of the list catalog or almost off catalog parts we can buy. 32-bit converters, Burbon op amps, WEMA caps, yada, 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 yada. No expense is spared. If you're gonna make analog, why not make it the best you can possibly make it with contemporary parts? Why is that cool? That's just a great sound. I'm not advocating that analog or digital is better, but I am saying if you're gonna do it one way or the other, you better do it the best way you possibly can. We're doing that in our software for the last 20 years, and that's kind of worked out, so I'm thinking for analog, do the same thing. There's some new sounds in there people are going to discover, and if they like them, hot dang.
And Chris said earlier it was 3 years in development.
That's right. Or so. Yeah.
Or so. 3 years in the brain, and then 3 years in development. Something like that. So, Robin, we've been doing these frequently asked questions. And what we've been doing is we've been asking producers, engineers, and then of course manufacturers like yourself, what is the question you get asked most?
Well, apart from who are you and why are you here, we get asked, what does it sound like?
I think I did that. I think the first time I ever met you, I sort of had this misconception that everybody does, like, oh, is it based on this mic pre or that mic pre? So what is your answer when they ask
all
you?
our stuff is all unique. We're not trying to clone or copy anything from the past. But what our sound is kind of all about is a clean, kind of transparent, modern sound, but with that has that presence, kind of coloration, saturation of the past. So we kind of try to marry the best of both worlds.
That's my thoughts.
Yeah, that's it.
Fast transient responses, but some warmth of transformers.
Yeah, it gives you that kind of immediate response of vocals, drums, things like that, but it has that kind of bottom end, that warmth that people really, really want these days.
Fantastic. This is our frequently asked question.
Okay.
What's the question you guys and girls get asked the most? What is the one that you have a forum now you could clear up?
Especially at NAMM, there's a lot of plugin companies, there's a lot of hardware companies. We have people coming by who go, I've heard about iZOPTOPE, I know what you guys do, but like, why should I get iZOPTOPE? Like, I love my fab filter, I love my this, I love my that. So this is the question that we get a lot. In fact, I've prepped all the people behind us to know how to answer it, just because it comes up with alarming frequency. And I would say it comes down to three. I do three the cool way. Do you do three or do you three? Three?
I probably would just sort of do something like this.
There we go. So,
but you're cool.
Thank you, Warren. So, number one is we have this concept called inter-plugin communication. It allows our plugins to talk to each other and be aware of each other. So if you want to unmask your vocal from a marimba track, you can place a little tool on the marimba, a little tool on the vocal. It'll analyze the relationship between the two of them and apply a behind-the-scenes EQ, all while talking to both tracks and unmask the vocal from the marimba, let's say. You can unmask a vocal from a stereo beat, anything from anything. So
that's pretty awesome.
This inter-plugin stuff is really cool.
I did not know this.
Yes. Well, you do now.
I do now.
Number two, the other thing that separates our plugins from other plugins is the assistive audio technology. So we have stuff like track assistant, vocal assistant, repair assistant, and master assistant to get you started. You've been 10 hours, you've been watching, Warren Huart tutorials, you've been all over YouTube, your brain is fried, there's so much knowledge, and then you have to EQ something and you're like, I don't know where to start. Hit one button, it's going to analyze the audio, offer a suggestion, not a destination.
Sure.
Sorry, it's not the end, it's the beginning of the mixing journey. It just listens and quantifies that which is quantifiable, gets you started with compression, reverb, we have it across our products. That's new as well and exclusive to iZOPTOPE. Number three is we're very nerdy. It's MIT, it's Cambridge, Massachusetts, not Cambridge, UK, Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Yeah, you know.
And nobody's perfect. And so we have a lot of machine learning that is informing our DSP. So for example, we have stuff that'll be able to detect if it's a guitar, if it's drums, if it's bass, and EQ it kind of accordingly, thanks to deep neural network training. And if I'm being very markety with my marketer hat, I would say that any company here would be happy to have just one of those things. But we do all three of them really, really well. And we think that by having this stuff, it brings people into the fold. People who don't know how to mix, they're not pros, they didn't come up through some formal system, they can get started and get a really good sound really quickly and become better at what they do.
Great. Thank you very much. That is a great answer to the question.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, my friend Bernhard, what is your most frequently asked question? And what is the answer to that frequently asked question?
Oh, it's green. Does it sound like a tube screamer? And the answer is no. When we designed it, the tube screamer over there, we said we want to do the opposite. The tube screamer is like this,
right?
Nasal. We want to have it completely open.
Right.
That's why when you have this one in middle position, you have bass, mid, and treble. When you go left, bass and treble at the same time goes down. Gives the impression a little bit more mids. When you go to the right, bass and treble are going up. The mid always stays.
That's just explained how the spectrum works.
Yeah, right.
Okay, great.
Yep.
I just twiddle it until it sounds good.
Of course, everybody does. They need not to know the background.
Yeah, I know. I'm not that smart.
Oh, that's why also bass player like it. They put it on very low gain, so that they just have a little tube adding to it. Right?
This is fantastic. Going into any amp just to give it a little extra crunch is amazing.
And as you described, you can adjust with this one to your amp.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
So that it matches.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.